Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about the new Meta Ads algorithm Andromeda and how I'm still scaling now with the brands that I have in my portfolio. So, obviously a lot of people are now affected. If you're watching this, most likely you are trying to figure out what's going on, what changed, and why is my CPA so high? Why, no matter what I do in my account, like whatever ad account structure, I don't know, I'm trying, it's not really working. This video should give you all the answers and a full overview of what the Andromeda algorithm actually is, like what is the change, what changed, then also what are the implications for us. So I'm going to walk you through a full article that I've prepared on what happened, then also what's the framework, like how do we what do we need to change now from our perspective to make it work better, to have sustainable CPAs even on while we're scaling, and also some warnings on what a sure way will be to fail if you're not respecting certain principles. Okay, so let's jump right in. Right, so what actually changed and why that matters? So mainly what changed, and also like for quick reference, because obviously there are a lot of videos out there on people talking about this. My whole portfolio that I'm overseeing, meaning including brands where I have shares, so I'm a co-owner, and also brands that I'm actively consulting. We're spending between 2 to 2.5 million a month at the moment across the whole portfolio on Meta specifically, right? So I have a very good overview on what are the commonalities in accounts or brands that are having a harder time versus brands that are still scaling during this time and after this update. Okay, so yeah, let's look at that. What Meta actually changed, why it matters. So there are mainly two things that changed. Let me activate this pen here. There are mainly two things that changed, right? A couple more, obviously, but for us as advertisers, like what's the most important thing? Andromeda retrieval engine, smarter ad matching. I'm going to go into this in a second and explain it in detail. And also sequence learning models, so understanding the customer journeys. Let's jump into the article that I've prepared. Let me see. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Actually, this is better. Okay, let's go over this. I hope you can read it. Okay, so Meta essentially just rolled out some major upgrades. Let's jump right into them. What did they change, right? So number one is the Andromeda retrieval engine, which is smarter ad matching, right? So Meta completely rebuilt how they decided which ads to show to which people, right? The old system was like having a decent search engine. This is a little bit, extreme. Obviously, they also had sophisticated algorithms there, but there's definitely a huge change here. So it's not only matching keyword. It was not only matching keywords and basic demographics, obviously, but compared to the new system, it's really a huge uplift. So let's say before you were advertising a skincare product, Meta might show your anti-aging cream ad to all women 30 to 55 who had shown interest in beauty products and maybe were close to buying a product, right? But still, there was a level of sophistication missing, right? And this is what they added now in Andromeda, right? So the Andromeda engine creates much more sophisticated user profiles based on hundreds of microsignals. It might recognize that someone who searches for crow's feet, engages with dermatologist content, shops during evening hours is much more likely to buy premium anti-aging products than someone who just liked a makeup tutorial, right? So the results, according to Meta, is 6 to 8% better quality matching. So your ads reach people who are actually interested in what you're selling, right? The real impact should be on a big scale, but also on our brand scale. The cost per acquisition should drop because you're not wasting impressions on people who were never going to buy, right? The key, though, is the system needs multiple creative options. As it's a machine learning algorithm, it needs a lot of options. We need to feed them a lot of options. This is what we'll talk about a little bit further down. so that it can best find and identify these, micro segments of customers. Then the second thing is the sequence learning models, right? So understanding the customer journey, and this is super interesting, right? So before, in the old system, essentially, each action was treated more or less isolated, right? So if you clicked on like a fitness ad, then a nutrition article, then looked at a workout gear, Meta saw three separate data points. It might serve them as a random mix of fitness, nutrition, and gear ads without understanding necessarily the progression. Okay, so that was the old world. But now switching to the new world, and this is basically the whole stuff behind it, which they share on their official page. You're also on the bottom. I linked the articles. I also linked this article in the description, obviously. The sequence learning models understand that this person is on a fitness journey, right? So they can predict that someone who goes from researching beginner workouts to post-workout nutrition is likely ready for supplement offers, while someone going from weight loss plateau to advanced training techniques might be interested in more sophisticated programs, right? So basically now Meta is, aggregating all of these events and trying to figure out what is the sequence of those events and then predict what is going to be the next step, right? What is going to be the next most reasonable step based off of other sequences, and which is basically going to be the next most likely purchase, right, that a person is going to do. And then it fits our products, or it serves our ads to those people, right? So again, way more sophisticated, right? And way more based off of user sequences and user behavior, right? And basically trying to make the user experience better, which is obviously always the goal of Meta, to keep people longer on the platform and so on and so forth. And that's just the next step to that, okay? Now, let's look at the compounding effect of this, right? These two changes here, they work together very powerfully, right? So let's say before you might have had like 5 video ads running. Meta would show whichever one had the best overall performance to your entire audience, regardless of where people were in their journey. I mean, again, this is a little bit extreme here, but still, compared to these new changes, that's kind of like the old scenario. Of course, there were also like some advances to make it more personalized. But now, basically, with many diverse creatives, Meta can show the busy mom struggling with energy, her morning routine, transformation video, while showing the executive worried about aging, a more sophisticated before-after testimonial, and time both perfectly based on their browsing patterns. Okay, so this is kind of like the sophistication, right? So you can already see from these things where I wrote about what are the impacts essentially. I already gave some hints here that what we're going to have to do, which is diversify our creatives and create way more creatives, okay? So the cool thing is also then that we can serve multiple avatars at the same time, and essentially Meta, best case, will figure out for whom are these creatives relevant, and are they in the right time, or do we have the right timing to actually help them convert, right? So this is why creative variety is everything now. And this brings us to why the creative content is actually driving like half of our ad performance according to Meta's internal data, right? So the problem is though that creatives fatigue pretty fast still. And one thing that you also realize in many accounts is, especially when you have very little creative variety, so meaning you run the same exact types of ads, the same exact ads for an extended amount of time, in very few cases do you see scalability in such accounts, right? So what an account at some point always demands, and this is now more true than it was before, is it demands multiple different ways of conveying the same message, right, to your target audience. This is where Meta's algorithm now, especially after the update, can really, deliver the best performance and most stable performance even while you're scaling. Okay, so let's jump into a framework that actually works. Let me go to this here. Okay, so when we look at this here, a framework that actually works, and this is where it really gets interesting. Okay, so because a lot of people might say, well, okay, I need creative variety, but how do I do this, right? Like, what is creative variety? That's essentially how we as advertisers can break it down, right? So you might have like one concept right now. Okay, let's just simplify things. Let's say this is a concept that I have that I'm planning to run. In the old world, or for a lot of brands still, they just run this one concept, right? And see if it works. Maybe it works for a while, then it stops working, then they, try to do the next concept. But now, knowing in the back of our heads, like the changes that Meta just did, we need to serve the machine more creatives and more diverse creatives, right? So instead of, it starts actually with the creative strategy process here. Instead of just, having one creative, we can think in very different ways, right? So one would be to say, okay, let's actually think about awareness stages. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with awareness stages, but essentially, awareness stages talk about, okay, there are unaware people, there are people that are problem aware, there are people that are solution aware, there are people that are product aware, right? And we can, like, those are all people in our total addressable market, right? So when you look at, let's say for our skincare anti-aging cream, just to have an example, this here is our total addressable market. So all people that we could potentially reach, right? Now, within this total addressable market, not all of the people are in the same awareness stage, right? So usually you have something like, here, those are people that are aware, like most aware, that they actually, want to buy your product. Okay, let's say most. Then you have people that are product aware. Then you have people that are solution aware, right? So they know a couple of solutions, not really sure which product is the best one for them. And then you have people that are problem aware. So they are just aware of the problem, but they're not really sure what type of solution actually, helps them to solve their problem. And then there are people that are completely unaware, okay? They're not even aware of having a problem that they should be solving, and then basically, find a solution for it, okay? So when you look at the market, you already see, like, we have people in completely different stages. So we have to serve them with our creatives. We have to serve these different stages to maximize our impact on our total addressable market and actually reach, as many people as possible, right, of our target audience. And this is now where, one dimension that we can use to actually make more out of just one creative idea, right? We can think in terms of, hey, let's think about this creative idea in terms of different awareness stages, right? So how would we need to, change the messaging or change the creative length, for example, the script, if we would be talking to an unaware audience, right? How will we, structure the script if we would be talking to a problem-aware audience, solution-aware, problem-aware, right? Product-aware, sorry. And all of a sudden, from one creative idea or concept, we already created 4 different versions, okay? So this is one dimension to just make more, more creative variety, number one, but also more creative volume. Let's look at the next one. The next one is pain point and angles, right? So let's say we have a skincare cream, again, to stick with that example. And now, actually, I also prepared something here. Can look at that for a second. Yeah, exactly. So, pain point angles, exactly. So, for example, one could be health, right? Tired skin, dull complexion caused by stress and pollution, right? So that would be one angle. Then we would have time, right? No time for 10 steps. This one serum replaces 3 products, right? Financial could be another one. Stop wasting money on creams that only moisturize on the surface, right? And many, many more things. Or another way of thinking about angles would be to say you have one cream that is talking to, that helps against age spots. It helps against, wrinkles. It helps against crow's feet, right? So those are very specific problems. And again, it's the same product, same brand, but we're trying to tap into different pain points. And again, when we look at our total addressable market, just with another dimension, let's say, in another dimension, we have people here that have pain point 1, we have people here that have pain point 2, and we have people here that have pain point 3, right? So we want to serve all of them to give Meta and give the algorithm more choice to find the one that is performing best for us, ultimately, right? So it's not always that, all of the 3 work the same way, right? It might be that we just identify, okay, this one is performing best for us because there's the best natural fit between that pain point and our product, right? So now this is basically pain points, okay? Pain points. And the same thing we can think about with avatars, okay? This is another option. So avatars would be, for example, the busy mom, right? Which is one avatar. So think about the same exact creative. And basically, in one creative, we have a busy mom, right, in her mid-30s that just doesn't have time for a complex skincare routine, but she still wants to do the best for her skin, right? That's one avatar. Then you might have like a 65-year-old woman that wants to, just have a natural skincare, solution to get to soften her, let's say her wrinkles, right? So that's another one, right? And this again, it's the same exercise. You see the pattern now here, right? Again, we look at our total addressable market, and here we might have avatar 1, we might have avatar 2, we might have avatar 3, avatar 4. You see where I'm going, right? So we can think here, again, we can basically extrapolate a creative idea into different dimensions. The last one will be just to have formats and style, right? So where you look in terms of, okay, actually I could do like a TikTok style ad, right? Or I could do like a VSL, video sales letter, or it will be a founder ad. So again, when you think about your total addressable market, you also have to think in terms of, especially with formats, it's very clear, like not every person is reactive or responsive to every ad format, right? So there might be people that love to watch founder ads. There might be people that love to watch more educational, like long form VSLs. Then there are other people, they just like to have like super short TikTok style ads, and that's what they engage with, right? And now when you look at this, we just went from one creative idea to essentially unlimited creative ideas, right? And ways to to find people that could have value from buying our product. And then one other thing that we didn't even talk about yet is, just add this here, is basically also then obviously the combination of those, right? So when you look at all these permutations and you think in terms of, okay, let's look at like a problem-aware, creative for pain point number 1 avatar number 2, and just doing different formats for that, right? So this is where it gets really, really interesting, because this way we can really, massively increase the volume of our creatives without having to, come up with, a new creative idea every single time, right? So this, I hope that this gives you like a better structure to organize and to organize your creative strategy, ultimately, right? Your creative strategy processes. This is what we do also now, where we really look into, okay, what are different awareness stages? How far can we scale the account at the moment, right? So maybe we're just talking too much to solution based, or solution aware people, right? So let's add some problem aware creatives so that we can access a bigger audience, right? Same thing with, for example, avatars, right? So maybe you're just talking to one specific avatar. What are other avatars that you maybe already see buying your products? Like, how can you build a funnel, so to say, for them, right? And scale them alongside each other, right? So this is essentially like horizontal scaling, right? Across different angles, across different avatars, across different formats, across different awareness stages. And this is exactly what this update is about, right? Meta asks us as advertisers to basically give them a huge variety of content that the algorithm can then way better figure out what to serve whom at what time, right? To increase the overall performance. Okay, so this is something I think not a lot of people talk about. It's a lot of people talk about the implications on media buying and all of that stuff. But you know my take on that. If you're new to this channel, I'll link a video for my media buying strategy, which is very simple but very, very scalable. This shifts the attention way more towards the creative strategy process. Okay, that's what this is about. More creatives, more volume, and at the same time, way more variety. And this is the blueprint to just come up with a lot of variety. Okay, so let's go back to here. I mean, we talked about this now. Exactly here. For example, avatars, mom, balancing family health, 40 plus skincare enthusiasts, Gen Z skincare trend followers, right? Those avatars, they obviously have, in some cases, there are certain formats that you wouldn't do for a 65-year-old, right? You wouldn't do a TikTok style video ad for a 65-year-old, right? That makes sense. But yeah, I also think about this, obviously a lot of times, or a lot, but for me, these avatars, they are really, really crucial, right? Because it all comes down to ultimately understanding who you're actually selling to. And one example that I always bring up is if you would have a physical store, and maybe some of you have, right? The crazy thing is when we advertise online, we tend to forget what selling is actually about, right? It's about understanding who you have in front of you, right? And then from there, the better you understand that person and what their desires are, what their problems are that they try to resolve, the easier it is for you to position your product exactly the way that they want to, hear it, right? And then the purchase is very simple. So to the example, I always say like, hey, if you have a physical store and you have your skincare products or supplement products in your store, and let's say you have a supplement store, and then you see this like jacked up like 25-year-old bodybuilding type that is looking for a solution, and then like that is looking for creatine, for example, and then you have another customer coming in like 2 hours later, which is a 45-year-old woman that just enters menopause, and you would position your creatine in a completely different way, but it's the same exact product, right? So what changed is the avatar, right? So we need to make an effort to really advertise to avatars and understand who are my avatars and constantly research, like, what do I not know about the avatars that I'm advertising towards, right? And then everything falls in line from my perspective, right? From my experience, everything falls in line, because then you might already know, okay, so certain formats don't work for my avatars, okay? So I'm not going to test them. I don't need to, test them for the sake of testing. I can be way smarter in selecting, what formats are working, for example. Then the same thing, obviously, with pain points. Awareness stages is, I think, something that really is universal and would always help to make an account more scalable. Okay. All right. Let's go back to this now. Yeah, we talked about this. I mean, as I said, I'll leave the link into in the description. Another implication from that is, obviously, we need to have a continuous creative production, right? So this might, like, as you've seen, we need to increase the volume. So we cannot just have like 5 to 10 creatives running for months and expect Meta to deliver better results. And then, what a lot of brands do is they try to, fiddle around with the media buying, change the structure, go to interest targeting, go to lookalike. This is all BS, right? It's just like running in the complete opposite direction. Meta is telling us here, we need more creatives and we need more diverse creatives, right? As long as you deliver them, you will have a better chance of making things work on scale with sustainable CPAs, okay? So, so what does this mean? It means working with UGC creators, hire in-house creators, right, on low monthly retainers. Very, very simple idea. Essentially, get like 5 to 10 people for maybe $500 a month in the beginning that are constantly creating like 8 concepts a month, for example, right? That you can upload into the account. You give them rough structures on, hey, this is the avatar that we're looking for. Those are the pain points that you should have in. This is how you should present the product. And then you let them, create these, or partly even pre-script certain things, right? Once you see that a creative is working, you take that creative and give it to all of your in-house creators and tell them to recreate it, right? So those are very simple ways to just make way more content without having your content, your content budget explode like crazy. Okay, we have to be smart about this, right? Because at the end of the day, we still have to test, and every test costs money, effort, time. Another one, obviously use the modular creative system. This is a video I have on my YouTube channel where I show how we did 107 creatives in a single day, actually. And I'm sharing everything. I'm walking you through how you can make way more out of your content than just a couple of creatives. Then, having a process to, reuse your winners. Again, here, I'm making that here. How to make your winning ads 10 times better. How to make 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more creatives out of a winner by optimizing or taking the idea of the winner, putting it into other concepts. Now, when we look at this here, it's even, we have even more options. If we see that a certain, creative style is working, let's say it's the, founder ad, for example, we can take this founder ad and we can just run it through this machine here, right? So we can think about, okay, for my founder ad, what is the awareness stage that I'm targeting at the moment? Maybe I need to add something in the beginning so that it gets more interesting to unaware people, and then I'm leading them to the rest of the founder video. Boom, that's a new creative. Maybe I'm talking about a specific pain point at the beginning. Let's try to talk about, other pain points that I know are relevant to my target audience. Boom, I'm reaching completely different people, right? Maybe I'm highlighting a specific avatar. Let's reshoot the whole thing, rescript it for another avatar, right? Very, easy ideas, but again, it's all about principles. It's all about advertising, these principles don't go away. That's why I'm teaching principles on my channel, right? I'm not teaching tactics or this is this hack in the ads manager. I don't believe in that, because you couldn't watch this video in 3 years and get value out of it, right? So yeah, let me see this here. Okay. Next, make sure every batch of creative respects the dimension of pain point, awareness level. Like this has to be, dialed in when it comes to creative strategy, that you think in these dimensions, right? Third, keep your volume high. Again, we talked about this. This can be, really easy if you do it the right way, if you do it in a structured way. Fourth, when you find winners, don't just leave them alone, repurpose them, right? Reshoot the same script with different people, different avatars. As I said, very, very easy, simple ideas, but they make a huge impact, because you go from like testing 5 creatives a week to testing 30 creatives, 40 creatives, maybe 50 creatives a week without necessarily having way more effort, putting way more effort into it. It's just a system that you're using, right? Now, let me talk about this, because this is something that I wanted to add here, and I also wanted to, talk about this in the video. Is basically, this is a warning, right? Because I've also encountered founders that were, let's say, a little stubborn, and or just the operations didn't allow it. But still, I'm saying like this is something that is like you cannot work your way around it, right? It's just something when we want to advertise profitably on Meta ads, we have to respect the system that we're running on, right? Which is the Meta algorithm, which now changed even more towards the direction where we need more creatives and we need more variety. So we cannot just, hop on that platform, put up a couple of creatives, like, I don't know, 10 creatives, and wonder why after a couple of months, that's actually a long time, after a couple of weeks or months, we just see the CPAs rising constantly while we're not putting in new creatives, we're not doing anything, right? That's not how it works. This is a sure way to fail and to struggle. And then one thing that I see a lot of times is that people start to question the media buying, the approach. They try to target manually, which is exactly the wrong way, right? Don't waste your time, effort, energy on this stuff. Like, trust me when I tell you, the brands in the portfolio that are crushing it, they respect these principles and these rules of the platform, right? And that's just why I wanted to, add this warning. If you still think that you can just do, hack your way towards, performance in the ads manager, this is just over. This time is over. And I'm telling you honestly, just don't waste your time on it, right? Like media buying, with this update even more, and with future updates even more, you see like many like, toggles and, tools that were there before, they're getting taken away with Advantage Plus and all of that stuff. Facebook tells you what to do. They tell you, stop spending time in the ads manager. Go do more creatives, do better research, and give us all of these creatives so we can figure out best, for you, what's the best way to reach people that ultimately buy from you, right? So don't overcomplicate this, and don't make it harder than it actually is, right? Just accept it. This is how, if we want to advertise on Meta, this is what we need. So let's build the systems for it. Let's use this framework, for example, that I give you for free. Use it, implement it, and you will see your CPAs drop, right? And the first and now only solution to better performance and scalable acquisition is 99%. And 99% is better and more creatives, period. All right, that's what Meta demands. As I said, we cannot expect to run creatives for 9 months straight without producing any significantly new creatives for new avatars and new formats and so on and so forth. That's not how it works anymore, okay? Well, okay, I hope you found a lot of value from this. As I said, I'm going to link the whole thing here. And here are also the official sources. Like if you want to go geek mode, you can obviously dive into that. But yeah, just to summarize it quickly for you, like don't that get discouraged. Don't be one of these people that are like blaming it on the algorithm and telling stupid stuff like, oh well, Meta doesn't want you to make money, only Mark is making money. Stupid stuff. I can tell you there's still a lot of brands that are scaling their business, like doubling, tripling, quadrupling, 10xing their business in a couple of months, in a year's time. What they do differently is just, obviously, I'm assuming you have a good product, but what they do differently is just like, it's just their approach, right? They just accept, okay, that's what we need. So this is one part of making Meta work. It's not just putting ad spend there, but it's also just respecting the rules of the platform. That's what it is. And now Meta just went one step further and actually made it more mandatory for us to respect these rules, right? So this is something, if you go back, you can go back like months, actually last year even, on my YouTube. This is the exact stuff that I was preaching. Angles, do educational funnels, do different creative types. Like this is all principle based, right? And yeah, I hope this video gave you a bit of value. And let me know your experiences, your questions, wherever it is in the comments. I'll read every comment and answer. And yeah, as I said, like check out the resources. If you're at a spot where you're like, hey, I'm looking for someone that actually can help me, like guide me and my team to scaling to, I don't know, the first 100K per month sustainably, or then even 500K and a million a month, and that has done that already with skincare brands, supplement brands, brands that have reusable products. Then check out the first link in the description where you can check out my mentoring, right? Where I mentor brands one-on-one, right? Yeah, basically just share them what works for me and my brands, for other brands, and make sure they have the right set of principles to own their acquisition by themselves. And there are many brands that use this and that scale to 500K a month, a million a month, and more successfully without even having an agency, right? So even after the Andromeda update, right? All right. Long story short, hope you found value. See you in the next one. Take care.